Tonight, police uncover mass burial site containing human remains in Spanish town St. Catherine.
Based on our investigation and effort, we believe that there are more than 2 bodies.
Saharan dust plume that has been affecting the island since yesterday, expected to intensify within the next 24 hours. Still tonight, Jamaica's distributive trade reports that food items are still insufficient supply despite a global economic slowdown due to COVID-19. And government announces that scrap metal exporters must now register online through the Trade Board's Jamaica Single Window for Trade portal to obtain permits.
Good evening. In breaking news tonight, the Ministry of Health has announced that there are now 670 confirmed COVID-19 cases on the island. There are 5 new cases and 2 more persons have recovered, taking the total number of recoveries to 518. Continuing with news tonight, a mass grave containing the bodies of at least 2 persons was discovered earlier today. The makeshift graves were allegedly used by a St. Catherine-based gang from the community of Waterloo. Now further to this story is that the forensic team will continue a search of the area into tomorrow. Speaking at the site, Acting Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime Fitz Bailey revealed that the police have been following investigative leads pertaining to the area for more than 2 years.
We are looking at anywhere between 3 to 4 years that these bodies have been here, and we will continue our effort. We are not saying that this is the end of it. We will continue to explore other avenues as the intelligence and the investigation unfold. We came with the intention to find more than 2. Based on our investigation and effort, we believe that there are more than 2 bodies. The grave site of one of our major gangs, the clan gangs. This is a burial site based on what we are picking up.
We will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. In news from St. Anne, investigators there are probing a violent attack where a man was fatally shot by a lone gunman in the full view of his teenaged daughter at their home in the Claremont community. The deceased has been identified as 54-year-old Donovan Davis, a farmer of Woodstock District in Claremont. Reports coming into our news center tonight are that sometime after 2 p.m. on Sunday, Davis and his daughter were inside the house when they were pounced upon by an armed man. The intruder opened fire, hitting Davis before escaping the scene. Fortunately, Davis's daughter escaped injury in the attack. The father was assisted to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Now, since the start of the year, St. Anne has recorded 39 murders. In news from St. Mary, a dancehall entertainer from the parish, Henry Winter, otherwise known as Glamour Dawn, was fatally stabbed during a confrontation with another man in the Tremolesworth community in the parish yesterday. The artiste was reportedly on his way to a studio in Highgate where he resided when he got involved in an argument with a man. Knives were reportedly drawn by both men and the artiste was subsequently stabbed. He was assisted to the hospital where he died. In news from the capital, a 24-year-old taxi in Andrew on Sunday has been taken into police custody by the Halfway Tree Police. The deceased has been identified as 53-year-old Delroy George Sinclair, taxi operator of Maryland District, also in St. Andrew. Reports coming into our news center tonight are that on Sunday afternoon, Gordon was driving his taxi from the direction of Gordon Town to Pepin when the man who is now in police custody accused him of driving recklessly. An argument developed between both men and Sinclair sped away, but he was chased by the accused who caught up with him along Market Road, who then proceeded to beat him severely. Residents rushed to assist the taxi operator, who was seen bleeding from his nose. He was rushed to the University Hospital of the West Indies, where he died while being treated. Now, following an investigation, the accused taxi operator was held by the police. Still making news tonight, the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, and detectives attached to the Spanish Town Police Department are investigating an incident where George Williams, the mentally ill man who was held in the Jamaican prison system for almost 50 years, had to be taken to hospital last weekend after being beaten by a younger inmate. The attorney representing 71-year-old Williams, Isat Buchanan, says that the mentally ill man suffered injuries to one of his eyes and to sections of his ribs during the attack, which took place inside his cell at the St. Catherine Adult Correctional Center. Now, following the incident, Williams was treated in hospital and later transported back to the correctional facility, where he was removed to an isolated cell. The director of human rights group Stand Up for Jamaica, Carla Golotta, in a statement said she believes that Williams would not have been injured if the director of public prosecutions did not oppose the emergency application filed in court last week seeking to have Williams freed. Still making news tonight, the Saharan dust plume that has been affecting the island since yesterday is expected to intensify over the next 24 hours. More on this story with Killeen May.
The Saharan air layer style dust plume, which has been affecting the island since yesterday, is expected to intensify over the next 24 hours. Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, Evan Thompson, said the country is likely to have seen the worst case of the plume today, and it will gradually dissipate as we get into the weekend. Our news team went on the street to speak with persons in the corporate area. They had this to say.
Never experienced anything like this before. The dust is really a nuisance. See them, whenever you usually wear tall sleeve before, I just start wearing my tall sleeve them again. My nose, my eyes, it just affect my body. I don't know, boy, I really want it to go. But them say I'm in another 3 days or 4 days, so we have to just cope with it and just try to deal with it. And government say we have to stay in, but it's impossible for working people to stay in.
Well, it made me cough, a lot, and scratch all my eye too. I never really experienced anything like this, and until I say, I not even know it was around until somebody tell me, okay, I wasn't paying notice to it until I take a taxi and the driver show me it. But this morning it really affect me by coughing, scratching me, all my eye scratch me. Not even children them can manage it. And I have a daughter with me afraid from with the asthma, so I don't know how we're gonna make it out.
It's not really affecting me, but it may be affecting a lot of people out there who are maybe homeless, who maybe doesn't have anywhere to stay, whose home is really in a dusty environment. But for those who are living in maybe the northern part of Jamaica, for some people that said that today may be the worst day. I mean, the COVID was much more worse than this, and this is something that maybe just blow off after a week or two. So I don't think most persons will be affected by this. If people in Africa can basically go through it, why we Jamaicans can't go through it.
We also visited the western end of the island to get the views of the residents who have this to say.
I heard on the news about this Sahara dust, and what we are told is that especially for persons with respiratory problems, it can be dangerous, it can cause serious health issues, and as such they have to protect themselves.
From Mexico, and I never see this kind of picture. It's a lot of dust. It looks different. I know this happens because I know that this kind of dust comes from Africa, and I know it goes to Brazil and the Amazon's better. I never expect to see this kind of images in the world.
It's really dangerous so far. From morning I feel a little bit kind of asthmatic because with the breathing it's kind of bad, and plus I have sinus, so if I don't have this over my face, right now I'll be sneezing, I'll be doing things all over the place, and then people might think that I have corona, but it's not that. But what I know so far is that don't really touch your face too much when you're outside. If you do go touch your face, just use a sanitizer and then you're good. and don't put your hand in your mouth, because it does kind of really, if it look good on the cars, it kind of make them look really like they're red and good. And to be honest, when I walk in night and the wind I pass, it just I go in my eye. Sometimes I feel dry, feel a touchy and shake it up, but it really don't look good.
It is expected that the country could experience another episode of the dust plume over the next week or two. Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Still making news tonight. Despite a global economic slowdown due to COVID-19, Jamaica's distributive trade is reporting that food items are still insufficient supply. During a virtual meeting convened by State Minister in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, MICAF, Floyd Green, with the distributive trade manufacturers and major distributors, reported that for the last few months, despite the impact of the virus, they have managed to maintain or reduce the price for most product lines. However, Minister Green says that the prices across the retail sector have not reflected these changes.
The manufacturers and our producers have said to us that they have either maintained their prices or reduced their prices, but we're not seeing these price changes being reflected across the retail sector. In fact, what we have seen from our Consumer Affairs Commission going out into the field is that prices have increased across most product lines. This is cause for grave concern, and as such I'm encouraging our retailers to reassess their pricing mechanisms, especially in relation to products that are in extensive supply like chicken that discounts have been offered on. What is critical is that the lines between MICAF and the distributive trade has to remain open so that we can proactively treat with any issues that may arise in our supply chain, whether that be from a pandemic like COVID-19 or a hurricane. So we will continue the dialogue with our stakeholders through the distributive trade, and we will consistently check on stock levels and potential barriers to trade.
Still making Mello TV news, the government has announced that starting today, scrap metal exporters must register online through the Trade Board's Jamaica Single Window for Trade portal to obtain permits. The Trade Board says manual applications to acquire permits will no longer be accepted by the state agency, while adding that the aim is to increase efficiency considering the thrust to re-energize Jamaican exports by making related transactions easier to conduct. The main features of the single window portal for scrap metal exporters includes the ability to attach the required documents, submit payments, and view the status of an application. Exporters can gain access to the portal through the site at www.jswift.gov.jm. And those were the stories making news. I'll return with the recap. We'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.
Need cash? WhatsApp Rapid Loans at 876-403-8048. That's 876-403-8048. Quick loans until payday. All you need is your ID, proof of address, 2 payslips, and a job letter. No security required. Loans for rent, utility bills, medical expenses, and car repairs until payday. Rapid Loans Financial Services. WhatsApp 876-403-8048.